Long ball number 3. After we lambasted Major League Soccer for playing through the international break, but returning to a full action, a full slate of games in Major League Soccer, it is that time of the week to pick our Fab Four. The 4 games in Major League Soccer we think might be notable to check out this weekend. So I will pick number 1, Toronto versus Vancouver. And this all-Canadian matchup I picked due to the fact that Vancouver Whitecaps, one of the hottest teams, one of the biggest surprises of the first month or so of the season. They unfortunately lost their unbeaten record during the international break when they didn't have a full slate of players. And they look to bounce back from that against Toronto, which is quite hapless right now. So Toronto, do they get their first win, or does Vancouver return to winning with their full squad?
Obviously, look, the international window hammering some teams means that last weekend, the games that did happen, I'm willing to throw them out. Now, I know they count, and you can't, you can't just wish that away. But I, as a fan or as a viewer, as somebody trying to analyze this league, like I don't want to put a lot into that. Like I don't want to be like, you really take a lot out of Vancouver's performance from the international break. No, Toronto's been bad throughout. So I guess that we have enough evidence to say that they have a lot more to prove, and that this is not necessarily that last weekend wasn't something that you can. That you can throw out for Toronto as much as you might throw it out for Vancouver, who started the season well. I mean, on the balance of the data. So this one's interesting. This is not the most intense version of the Canadian versus Canadian rivalry. That's Montreal and Toronto, but the Vancouver, just like everybody else in Canada who's not Toronto, does not like Toronto as a city, as a place, as a symbol of Canadian power. So it should be interesting.
You get number 2 in our MLS Fab 4?
So I was told I'm not allowed to take a certain South Florida team and their matchup because you've called dibs on that. So I guess I will.
Hey, when you make the rundown, sometimes you get to fill in the words there.
That's true. You're right. You started out. You got it down on paper before I could respond. Chicago versus Montreal is where I'm going here. Now, these are not teams that you would say are the brightest lights in MLS. Montreal barely made the playoffs last year, lost in the first round to Atlanta. They just fired their coach. Laurent Courtois is done and cooked.
For reasons.
Well, I've talked to somebody in Montreal who said, Olivier Brett, if anybody's asking, from RDS. And he did lay out a case. The one thing that Laurent Courtois was guilty of is that he didn't really have a sense of what his best team was. He kept moving guys around. He didn't have a handle. This is exactly the kind of thing that got Thiago Motta fired in Juventus.
Theme of the week.
Feels that. So there is a sense that, they need some stability, and they need to bring somebody in who's going to say, okay, this is where you play, and you're going to play there, and picks a team and maybe gives them a chance to get a run together. Meanwhile, Chicago has 3 wins in a row. They started out the season very rocky, giving away goals to Columbus and DC United, but they've beaten Dallas, they've beaten Toronto. Okay, that's not saying a lot. And they beat Vancouver. Right? On the break, they beat the Vancouver Whitecaps. We had that heartwarming moment where Greg Berhalter, the coach, talked to his son Sebastian, who plays for Vancouver, and they made a whole deal out of it. I just want to see if Chicago can keep it going. I don't know that we're going to get a lot of people showing up, because Chicago's got to prove that they can win games and maybe do it at home before people are going to enter that building to go watch them play. But I believe their 3 wins in a row have all come away from Soldier Field. So this is after that stretch of a road stretch where they put together 3 victories. I'm sorry, they had the draw against. Oh yeah, the draw against DC was the last time they played at home. 20,000 people, cavernous building. We'll see. We'll see if people show up.
My second pick for MLS Fab 4 is the aforementioned game that you wanted to talk about. Can you guess who it is? It is the team sitting in 3rd place that is undefeated versus a surprise team that is top of the East and the 2nd highest scoring in the league. This is Miami versus Philadelphia. Can you believe it? The number 1 team in Philadelphia versus the number 3 team, Miami. Miami doing very well with the absence of Messi And in Philadelphia, like I said, scoring a lot of goals and kind of rocking the boat as far as expectations here early.
Yeah, they will also get a lot of guys back after the window, after the international break. They managed to find a way to win without their guys, but the leading goal scorer in Major League Soccer plays for the Philadelphia Union in Ty Maribo, and they know they want to have him back on the field. So this is an interesting one, and I think that Bradley Carnell entered into this job, and people are like, really? Bradley Carnell, the guy who got fired in St. Louis, whose biggest claim to fame is he has high intensity Red Bull energy, high energy soccer. But again, that's Philadelphia's mentality. Jim Curtin had just downshifted a little bit during his last couple seasons. There was obviously disagreement about how young to go in the team for Philadelphia because Ernst Tanner is a true believer and you play the kids. So here's Bradley Carnell. And if they can do both those things, marry their let's commit to our young players and play high-energy soccer and win games, then give Bradley Carnell a ton of credit. I mean, he started well. Until he proves otherwise, he looks like he was a good choice.
And then who is your fourth, or what is your fourth game here for MLS Fab 4?
I guess we should also note that we don't know if Lionel Messi is going to play in that game for Inter Miami, and there's that. I mean, whether Logan Paul's in the stands or Yassine Chueco has a fight with him, I don't know, but we don't know if Lionel Messi is going to be available.
Also curious to see if Miami's new 18-year-old Ecuadorian striker makes an appearance.
Yeah, they just made a signing, so that's something as well. I'm going San Diego FC and LAFC for my number 4. I mean, this is just the inauguration of a Southern California thing. It could be potentially a rivalry. Obviously, LAFC has a natural rival across town in the Galaxy. The Galaxy are trying to figure things out post-championship and losing Ricky Puig. San Diego has started well. I've seen that Tuki Lozano is going to be available, and according to Mikey Veras, will play some role in this game, so that'll be interesting. They're coming out at Snapdragon to support this team. It's new, it's fun, it's interesting. Let's go to the stadium. Let's go watch them play. I know the baseball team is also underway because we had opening day yesterday in Major League Base, or whatever that was, Wednesday.
Yeah,
Major
Tigers' dreams shattered by that man Ohtani.
Oh, that already happened. The Tigers' season is already over because Shohei Ohtani did something. Okay,
yeah.
But obviously, this is a big deal. There are lots of things about San Diego that have made me whatever. I kind of I don't love the logo. It looks weird to me. The $500 million expansion fee and some of the way that Major League Soccer is moving in that way, it makes me uncomfortable. But the fans are showing up, and I'm not going to begrudge the fans an opportunity to support their new team. They've started well. I've talked to Mikey Veras. He's a nice guy. He gave us a little insight into his character and how he sort of handles his job. He mentioned this on the radio show that I do with Eric Ronaldo. He said, it's only like 8 years ago he was coaching U12s. So he's had this incredible come up to this job as an MLS head coach, and he's doing very well. And I think it's a fun story, whether you like San Diego FC and Major League Soccer's expansion thing or not.
Way to climb the ladder there, though. 8 years, what a climb. And then, so there's obviously famously El Tráfico between the two Los Angeles teams. What could the LAFC versus San Diego in-state rivalry be? Is there some sort of notable thing in the journey between the two, or? And I think there's
I don't know.
No, all right, Chad.
Maybe it has something to do with tacos. Maybe it has something to do with tacos. I don't know. Maybe we figured that out. Somebody, let's stop using El Clasico as the base for this. It's sort of like how every controversy gets slapped with the gate suffix. This is tree gate and barbershop gate and rainbow gate. No. Stop with that. It's the same thing. We have El Tráfico. That's clever. It's funny. LA is known for its bad traffic. Let's move on from using El Clasico as the base for these rivalry names and figure out something different.
Let's get some ideas for that rivalry in the chat, gang. As we move along, if you haven't already, subscribe to Morning Kickaround on YouTube. We have hit some goals already, and we are continuing to grow, working our way towards the grand total and trying to crash through that 5,000 subscribers. Let's work towards that. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so now. Follow along on social media at MKickaround, X, Instagram, and Blue Sky. Write us a note, morningkickaround@gmail.com. And if you have a few dollars you'd like to contribute to help us, take care of expenses, get some sustainability to this program, and perhaps even continue the growth, coffee.com/morningkickaround.